Welcome back, everybody. This is the What's Good Games podcast, and now we are into our grab bag time of the show. And this week, we kind of were struggling to agree on what to talk about. And Steimer brought up a really fun idea of, like, she said, since I was just traveling recently and Britt was traveling recently, and summer is just all around a time that all of us out there travel. If you are in the Southern Hemisphere, I'm sorry, it's winter where you are. But for us here up north, we all travel. We go on vacations. We're on summer break if you're in school. And that means you need to figure out, how do I game when I travel? And we all kind of have different systems. So Britt recently chronicled a little issue she had during one of her recent travels where she was at a property that you were renting. So it wasn't a hotel. It was like an Airbnb or something.
It was a townhome. You can call it a townhome.
Was it Airbnb or something?
No. It's a hotel, but they own some townhomes, so they rent them out as if they were a hotel room.
Okay, I've been to a hotel like that before. And you couldn't play your SNES, which, by the way, the fact that you brought your SNES on your trip with you was amazing, because what TVs even have component cable jacks anymore?
You'd be surprised.
It was broke on the TV.
Yeah.
So what happened? Tell us the story.
Okay, so one of my favorite ways to relax and unwind and just kind of disconnect is to find a hotel, find a small town somewhere near me, go bring some video games, and just hunker down, play games, grab dinner, just kind of like do the thing, eat good food, whatever. And this is something Jason and I have been doing the entirety of our relationship, and it's quickly become, like I said, one of our favorite things to do. So last week we were like, hey, let's go to Leavenworth, which is this really cute Bavarian-themed town in eastern Washington. Christine, have you ever been there?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so you can vouch for its cuteness.
It's adorable.
Really cute.
That was not sarcastic. That was legitimate. It's adorable.
Cute towns.
And the Secret of Evermore carts had just come in before we left, and we generally will bring like Breath of the Wild. Before in the past, we've brought Game Boy games on the Super Game Boy. We've brought all sorts of things, and so we've been playing Breath of the Wild on vacation. But the Secret of Evermore cartridge came in, and we're like, this could be really fun. So off we go to Leavenworth. There's like a 4-hour drive. Super Nintendo in tow, cartridge in tow, 2 SNES controllers. We're set. So we get to the room around like 10 o'clock or so. And we have the component cables and everything, and we plug it into the TV, and I was getting this stupid like blue screen of death error, except for it was just a blue screen. There was no text on it. And sometimes it would like kind of glitch and work, and sometimes it wouldn't. So we were trying all the tricks, blowing on the cartridge, blowing inside the Super Nintendo, doing all of the old school things. And none of that worked. So we're like, shit, it must be the TV. What would a reasonable person do? And then I found that there was a store about 30 miles away that was open 24 hours.
Wait,
and
30 miles?
That's very far.
That's
20 miles.
That's
Sorry,
not
20 miles.
close.
One does what one must. I've been known to do things like this. I actually brought my 55-inch TV to a lodge a couple years ago because they didn't have TVs, and I wanted to play Halo.
Actually, I think I remember this.
Yeah, it was great.
Doing that.
It was fantastic. It was glorious. So this isn't out of the ordinary. This is something I'm known to do. So yeah, we hopped in the car and we drove. It was about 20 miles, 30-minute drive. I don't remember how long. And we drove. We bought a cheap little $175 like 32-inch TV. Bought an HDMI component adapter in case there were any other issues. Brought it back to good old Leavenworth and hunkered down. And after a few blows into the cartridge, we were able to play. And now we have an extra TV.
I love your tenacity, because any other human would have been like, I guess this plan didn't work out. Or they would have called the hotel and been like,
that's what I told
bro.
her to do. So she posted about this online, and I said, did you ask the hotel to just give you a different television? And she's like, well, no, we're like in this townhouse thing.
They were closed.
But you thought it was less inconvenient to drive 60 miles round trip by a television?
So, okay. So the hotel lobby was closed. Otherwise, I would have done that.
Small town, that makes sense.
Maybe not. I still might have driven there. Yeah, it worked in the end, and that's my story.
That's amazing.
That's okay. I have to say, I'm kind of inspired by this idea that you and Jason take these little side trips to nearby places to just like veg in a hotel or an Airbnb or whatever. And then you like go out and have dinner or whatever. And then you go back to your room and you're like, we're just going to have like a gaming marathon. It's kind of like a modified staycation because you're not technically staying at your house. You're staying somewhere else, but you're not too far away. I kind of like that. Maybe I'll pitch this to John. Something we could
do it. And we get a place with a kitchen. You bake cookies. You drink your whiskey or your Coke, and it's glorious. It's really good. So I would highly suggest.
Because you and Jason don't just drive travel. You guys do fly places. So what do you tend to do in those situations?
Same thing.
What? You can't bring a TV with you.
No. But, generally we'll bring something with an HDMI because you're more likely to find TVs with HDMI. The place in Leavenworth was kind of old, so they had component and it worked out, except for the component didn't work. But yeah, we've brought Super Nintendos, we've brought Xboxes, PlayStations, like we bring our consoles essentially everywhere we go. We have a few Retrons that can play the older games like Game Boy and Genesis and Super Nintendo and NES. That's been really helpful too.
You guys are like super intense. I'm not on that level.
It's so fun. Like Andrea said, it's not quite a staycation, but it definitely is like it's just fun. You just feel like you're like, I don't know, when you're younger and you got to go in a hotel room and it was kind of exciting. Maybe just me.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
we all remember that moment.
Jumping on the bed.
Yeah, exactly. But you're in another house and you get to like bake cookies and drink alcohol. It's fantastic.
Ooh. No, I think that's awesome. Generally, when I game, when I travel, so whenever John and I travel to cons together, and we go to conventions together quite frequently, we'll generally bring the PS4 Slim. Thank goodness they made the Slim, because not that the PS4 is super bulky, but the Slim takes up much less space in the rollerboard, because you can't check the console. You have to carry it on board. And there's been several times where we've had to like unpack for security, and the security guards or the TSA agents are like, "Oh yeah, PlayStation." And you like fist bump it out, and then they like send you on your way.
Yep.
But there was one time when we brought a console to, I believe it was the PlayStation Experience in Anaheim. And I was deep into an obsession, which I still am, with Paragon, which is the free-to-play MOBA that Epic Games makes, and it's available on PC and on PlayStation 4. And I knew that some of the Paragon team was going to be at PlayStation Experience, so we had talked about it in advance about how it would be fun if we could do like a meetup where we could invite other people to come and play Paragon, and we would just set up our consoles, because I have a games screen. So that's games, GAEMS. So the M and the E are reversed, and it's a USB screen. It's a little monitor that you plug in to the PlayStation. It works spectacularly. I love this thing. They're incredibly hard to buy because they're almost always out of stock everywhere. But if you ever get your hands on one, they're excellent. They're super lightweight, and you can put the PlayStation Slim and the game screen in a backpack pretty easily, and then you're all set and ready to go. You don't need a TV. You don't have this monitor problem that you ran into. So if you have never tried using it before, and they've never paid me to say this, by the way. Like, this isn't like a paid endorsement. I just really love this product because I use it a lot.
That's great to hear. I had those for several years, but I've never pulled the trigger. So it sounds like you would recommend it.
Absolutely, 100% recommend. And they work with anything that can take an HDMI. So if your computer has an HDMI plug into it, you could watch content from your computer on this external screen if you wanted to. Not that you would need to, because generally, like actually, I have one right here. So if you're watching it on video, it comes in this little carrying case. Now, this wasn't what I intended to do with this segment, but so this is the screen. So it's a good size, as you can see.
That's decent.
And it's super, super light. And it has speakers. So this is the new one. The original model didn't have as good as speakers. And so you can actually use this without a headset. If you want, you could just use the audio from this. But there's just buttons for the volume here, and on the back is where you plug in via HDMI, and they also have a headphone jack if you want to play with headphones. If you're like me and you're playing at your in-laws' house and you don't want anyone to hear you playing Destiny or Paragon. And of course, it's USB powered, so it just plugs directly into the console. It's a great product. But so to get to the story, I met up with Nick Chester from Epic Games, who is their publicist, and we were in the lobby of the Marriott, which is right next to the Anaheim Convention Center, using the hotel like crappy Wi-Fi, but we were able to connect in fast enough. So he had his laptop, because if you're a portable gamer, everyone's like, hey, join the PC Master Race, just get a gaming laptop, right? But instead I bring my console everywhere. So I set up my console with my game screen, and I had my controller, and I'm all plugged in, and I'm connected to the hotel Wi-Fi. He's got his, like Origin laptop, and he's like set up and ready to go. And we get into a game together, and then Andrew Reiner from Game Informer walks over and sees us, and he's like, wow, this is the nerdiest thing I've seen all weekend. Are you guys really playing a video game in the hotel lobby bar right now? We're like, hell yeah, man. Where's your console? Bring it down. He's like, no, I didn't bring my console. But it's a really fun experience, and that's the kind of camaraderie that really brings our community together. Why we're all gamers is because we have that shared passion and that shared love for this medium that really just doesn't exist anywhere else. I mean, you're not going to find people like in a hotel lobby like having a shared viewing session of a television show. Like that just
that's a good point. No, you wouldn't do that.
But yeah, it was a fun experience for me, and I highly recommend, if you guys ever think twice about traveling with your console, if you're going somewhere, maybe bring it. Maybe just do it.
I find it interesting that both of you are people who would travel with their consoles, because I'm the opposite. And if anything is remote, is the slightest bit inconvenient for me, I will not do it. So, for instance, even I have a gaming laptop. I have like a 15-inch Origin. It's too big. It's too big. Like for me, I'm like, I don't even want to bring that thing with me anywhere, because like I don't know why. There's just some like a mental block where I'm like, it's gonna be heavy. It's gonna be inconvenient. I'm gonna have to break this thing out at security. I don't want to do that. Like I want to just like glide through this airport as quickly as possible.
Not if you have TSA pre-check. You leave it in your bag.
Exactly.
I am pre-check, but even still, like I don't think I would ever be convinced to bring a console with me when I travel anywhere. But that's why I was so excited about the Switch. Because it was like, it's somewhat, and I also used to travel before the Switch came out. Obviously, I've traveled a lot with my Vita. The touchscreen's super wonky on it now, and it doesn't really work anymore, which makes me sad. But I used to play a lot of like older JRPGs on my Vita when I was playing, and that's how I played Lunar Silver Star Harmony and fell in love with it. And so like that's more up my alley. Maybe that's because when I was a kid, my parents literally just gave us Game Boys and was like, go, be free. Like you will
yes.
This is how you live. This is how you game. You game with this tiny thing and you take it with you everywhere. So now anything bigger than that just seems like too much for me to handle. So like anything bigger than that Switch would not do. And I even went through
so even your Vita, you didn't bring that places?
No, I did. Before the Switch, I took the Vita with me everywhere, then it died. The Vita's
that's bringing games with you.
Sure. No. Yeah. I'm saying anything like a console, like anything
massive.
Anything bigger than a bread box.
If it's bigger than a 3DS, it's not coming with you.
Will not come with me on the plane. And for even the Switch, it had like a little bit of an inconvenience because I realized, the battery on this is not going to last me throughout a long flight. It's fine when I go to and from San Francisco. That's cool. But
yeah, well, and the Switch, like when it's in the case and you have like the Joy-Con holder and you have the cables, like it's not a small thing. It's not like carrying a 3DS. It really isn't.
Yeah, it's not like a Vita. It's not like a 3DS. It's a bit more heft to it, but I'm okay with that. That's like, again, that's pretty much my limit. Switch is my limit for things that I will bring with me on an airplane. But I even went through and like bought a specific power brick for the Switch, and bought like a cable so that I knew if I was on a long flight and this thing died, like I would be able to keep playing it. So I'm going to Boston in August for like a family trip thing. And I'm like, that's where that's going to get busted out because I don't think this thing will last 6 hours on a plane.
It will if you're plugged in.
I
I flew from Rome to New York playing the Switch.
Did you use you mean an external power cable, or did they have a plug on the plane?
No, I had to I brought my USB-C cable with me, and then I plugged that in to the power on the plane. But you have to bring like the brick that goes into the jack, because not all planes have a USB plug-in. They have like a traditional power plug, and so you have to like have like the little brick that the USB goes into.
Since I don't even know what kind of a plane I'm like what it's going to have, I bought a power brick of its own, like
an external power battery.
External battery is the correct term.
The only thing about those that I kind of noticed is that those bricks work very slowly when you're actively using the device. If the Switch is just in your bag and connected to the power brick, it'll draw power pretty quickly. But I have, just for my and obviously all of these batteries are different, but I noticed that it is a trickle. Like you barely maintain.
I mean I have not used or tried it yet. I did search specifically for a external battery pack for this
just make
Switch.
sure you bring a plug-in brick just in case. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll bring one for sure, so I'm not like stuck and then even in Boston going, God, I can't charge this stupid thing. It's black.
Stuck with my family.
Yeah, exactly, because none of them have an external power cable lying around for this Switch.
Well, you can't ask them for it, because then they'll be like, oh, Christine, why did you bring your video game thing? We're all hanging out here having family time.
That's exactly what they would say. How dare you use my name?
Anyway, we got kind of down a rabbit hole there. Apologies to people listening. So, bottom line, Steimer.
Yeah.
Must be convenient to game on the go. Brittany will go to extreme lengths no matter how inconvenient to game on the go. Me, I'm kind of like Goldilocks. I'm in the middle. I'm like, I'll suffer a little bit of inconvenience, but I won't go to extremes. Just a little bit. Just the right amount of inconvenience.
Exactly.
Did you have any other travels, gaming stories that you would like to share, ladies?
Trying to think, but I don't.
Not besides the time that I briefly mentioned where I brought my 55-inch TV to a lodge and I had to carry it through the hotel lobby and then I hooked it up so I could play Halo. That was kind of the other story. Yeah.
But did the hotel not have a TV? Is that why you brought it?
No. Yeah. It was more one of those like adult only like lodges where it was just like, you know, adults only. Like no children allowed. And they didn't have TVs because they want you to take in the atmosphere and Mother Nature.
Because they want you to bang.
Yeah, that too probably. There were chocolates in the room when we got there. But no, so yeah, we hauled this big old 55-inch and an Xbox and it was great. It was a good time.
I wish I could see the look on the people's faces as you haul that television into your room.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna watch so much porn, you guys.
I know. I was actually. I'm wondering if they thought you were going to watch porn.
Oh no. Here's a travel tip: always call ahead and make sure that they have the TV you need. FYI. Everyone thinks we're like, okay, how big is the TV? Does it have component? Does it have HDMI? And they're like, wow.
Well, because there are some hotels that have perfectly functional televisions, but they lockbox the HDMI ports, so you can't plug anything in. I don't know why they do that. Probably because they want you to buy the movies and the entertainment from the like in-hotel system instead of bringing your own device and plugging it into the TV. But shame on you, hotels. Don't do that.
How dare you?
I'm paying you a premium to use your shitty TV. Let me plug in my console.
Oh, one more travel story. I brought my Xbox 360 and Resident Evil 5 to Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, which turned out to be really good because I got E. coli there and I was bedridden.
No.
I remember this too.
Montezuma's revenge.
I was hospitalized. It was insane. But before I was hospitalized, I was able to lay in bed in Mexico and play Resident Evil 5. And it was great.
Did you bring the console to the hospital?
No. But my nurse liked Zelda, so that kind of counts for something.
Totally.
We spoke in Spanish about Zelda. It was fantastic. But anyway, that's it.
Well, that's an intense story to leave on.
Teasing. I'm alive. I made it.
Good. Well, Britt, we are so glad because we love having you as part of What's Good Games. Well, ladies, this has been great. We've missed Alexa Ray. She will be back next week, as I've mentioned. Another thank you to everyone who supports us on patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. Don't forget, next week we'll all be here in the Bay. We'll be doing our Patreon exclusive live streams. Steimer will be making an update post about that very soon. If you want to get in on that, you can go ahead and put your pledge in on our Patreon. And if you guys haven't yet subscribed to us on YouTube, that's youtube.com/whatsgoodgames. And of course, as I mentioned at the top of the podcast, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. If you're listening on iTunes or Google Play and you have yet to rate us or leave us a review or subscribe on those services, it would greatly help us out and we would appreciate it a lot. So, Britt, where can the folks find you and what you're doing over on Blonde Nerd?
Everywhere at Blonde Nerd. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Branding 101.
And .com.
And blonder.com. Yeah.
Of course.
There's that.
Steimer?
I tried branding, Britt. Some man took my name on Instagram.
Someone has my name on Instagram too.
He hasn't used it in 5 years, but I can't seem to get this stupid username back. So I'm Steimer almost everywhere, except for Instagram, where I'm K Steimer.
And I'm at Andrea Renee almost everywhere. We're on Instagram. I'm Andrea Renee _ at the end, because why not? I will also be at San Diego Comic-Con. So if you're listening to this on Friday morning, if you're in San Diego listening to this, maybe on your way to San Diego, I am honored to be hosting the Life is Strange Before the Storm panel with Square Enix at 6:30 p.m. on Friday, July 21st. And the details on that will be on my Twitter. You could also look it up on the Comic-Con website. I'll also be doing a guest appearance on the Marvel Gaming Show. More details on that soon. But if you guys are around and you want to say hi, I'll try to stop by. I'll be floating around the con. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know, at Andrea Renee. And again, be on the lookout. We have PAX West plans in the works. It's going to be very exciting. So that's it for this week. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. We will see you next week. Have a great weekend.
Bye.